Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Round 11 podcast. I'm Cruising Spats today, joined by TS Chance and the Real Toxic. Unfortunately for us, once again, no Zarin Cod today, but nonetheless, we got to get on with the action. We are going to be recapping the Toronto home series, kind of just going over it. We are hot and fresh off of it, and man, we are a day late, and I could not apologize more to everybody if you guys are used to listening to this podcast on Monday afternoon. I'm very sorry. I was casting challengers all Sunday night, and unfortunately we finished at like 1 in the morning, and I came off a 12-hour cast, and there was no way I was going to be able to get a podcast out that night. Luckily for me tonight, TS Chance and the Real Toxic able to join me. How are you boys doing tonight?
Doing good. Getting ready to get into this next stage too and see what happens with all the new roster changes.
Yeah, doing good. Some good Call of Duty this past weekend. Couple surprising matches I didn't see happen, but looking forward to those new rookies.
And I mean, you guys are saying it as it is right there. New rookies on the horizon in the CDL. 4 roster changes coming in. Two happened last week. 2 are happening for the start of week number 2. One of them I'm super happy about, and I could not be more happy to get into this discussion. Before we get on to that, though, let's do a quick little recap of the Toronto home series event. First up was the match. It was the New York Subliners going up against Atlanta FaZe. I had Atlanta FaZe taking this one in a 3-0 fashion. And if I can throw it up here on the on the podcast screen for people who are watching on YouTube, it was a 250 to 202 win for the FaZe on the hard point, 6-5 for the Subliners on the Search and Destroy. That was probably the more, I think that was the first or second Search and Destroy the FaZe have lost all year. And then you had FaZe take the Control 3-1, and then the Apocalypse hardpoint, the first time we've seen Apocalypse and Express in the CDL, and FaZe takes that 250 to 195. Any thoughts on that match, guys?
FaZe basically did what I kind of thought they were going to do. Go into that, I had on my pick'ems, I had FaZe taking it 3-1. I thought New York would be able to take a map off them, which they did, but FaZe pretty much played as you'd expect them to play.
Yeah, I mean, not really a big surprise here. I had them taking a 3-0. They just kind of caught FaZe off surprise by taking that one map. Yeah, FaZe did what everyone expected to do, so not really big surprise here for me.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I was very much so expecting FaZe to win that match, and they did it quite handily. And I mean, the only map they lost was that Express new map, and it was a round 11, so kind of understandable. Moving on, Seattle Surge versus the Florida Mutineers. I'll throw it back up on the screen really quickly here. So it was a 250 to 104 on the hard point for Seattle Surge, 6-3 in the Search and Destroy. Florida Mutineers then bounced back with a 3-0 win on the Control, but it wasn't enough to stop the Surge as they were able to win 250-224 on the hard point and close it out in a 3-1 victory for themselves. And I mean, if I got to say anything about that victory, I think it was quite surprising, if I'm being completely honest. I wasn't fully expecting the Surge to come out and play the way that they did. And I mean, not only the way that they did, but like this whole weekend, this whole weekend, they looked much better than what we've seen them look in the CDL up until this point.
Yeah, they played as you'd hope a team like this would play. Because honestly, based off how the first major went, I had Florida taking this 3-2. I thought it was gonna be a close match. We talk about it all the time. Florida versus Seattle is always a coin flip. I think it can go either way, but I was not expecting Seattle to come out in 3-1. And even though I thought they should have taken 1 or 2 of those rounds on Control, like they looked fantastic.
Yeah, no, Seattle caught me by surprise completely with this. I had Florida taking a 3-1, but Surge coming out. I think the new meta now, the new Krieg meta, is played into the hands of Surge, and they're looking like a rejuvenized team here. Like, it looks like Octane's finally starting to get his stride, and just everyone on that team is just playing a lot better now with this new meta.
Octane still playing to his potential. Persini, though, was the difference maker. If Persini plays the way that he played this weekend, the Seattle Surge team could definitely start to turn some heads. We'll talk about their later matchup as well, where they also played very well. But Persini played out of his mind, especially on that first Apocalypse hardpoint. He was very good for the side of the Seattle Surge. Moving on to our next matchup, New Kids on the Block coming in. Insight 4 Methods playing his first matchup here against the LA Thieves. Thieves were able to take first map 251-83. Second map went to the Search and Destroy on Raid. It was a 6-4 for the Toronto Ultra. Then we head back to Raid for Control. It was a 3-1 for the Thieves. Toronto then able to bounce back in a checkmate hard point 250 to 115. And then it went all the way to round 11 in the Miami. It took Insight dropping 18 kills. But Toronto Ultra lose 6-5. You couldn't have dropped the 19th in round 10 and give me the damn win. He had a 1v1. They could have won. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to find his 19th. I mean, could you ask for a better debut, though, from him?
Yeah, definitely. And not to put any blame on anyone, but to put blame on someone, it's got to go on Vance. I think he was killless maybe the first 4 rounds.
0-6.
Yeah, he was like 0-6. Insight did everything he physically could to carry that team to a win.
He lost that 1v1.
Sorry, he did lose. He lost a 1v1.
That could have won them the game.
They could not do it. Like that's just heartbreaking for Toronto.
Yeah, no, honestly, I can say this myself. I think this was one of the better series of the year so far. It had a little bit of everything. We saw a kill record this year happen, and just to throw something up in his first event, Insight, just mind-boggling in that S&D. Just his stat from the S&D, he has a 1.7 in S&D, 1.7 KD.
Well, I mean, when you drop 18 kills in your second S&D, that's gonna happen.
And yeah, I know, but it's still crazy. Like,
yeah, the fact that he kept his composure so well.
Exactly, and I think that's another thing that's really important. Like, if you look at the side of Thieves as well, like they were doing the role change, and I think they played really well with that role change as well. But you look at the side of, well, better than they have looked. If you look at the side of Toronto, they're bringing in a new player, a new rookie in Insight, and I think they performed, and Insight performed a lot better than people were expecting that Toronto team to play.
Yeah.
Honestly, I gotta say I was kind of expecting Insight to play like that. I've been watching him in Challengers all year, running up. He's won the last 2 Challenger Cups. He is a force to be reckoned with. He's a very good player. And I know you guys are saying, yes, he kept his composure, but this guy's also played on the biggest stage of them all. He was, top 8 at Champs 2 years ago. So he definitely has what it takes. He's a great player. I'm not.
And I would like that. You have to. I feel like you have to be somewhat worried if your methods. I mean, not that you ever want your team to suffer from benching you, but I mean, like the fact that like a lot of people were saying it could have been Bance who got benched instead of Met. Yeah, no Zinni, no Winnie. I mean, honestly, if Methods was in and Bance wasn't, I don't think Methods would have gone 0-6.
I think that
they would have won that search.
That's a good point. I think that if you have Methods running a main AR, I think Insight could absolutely just run that flex position that you have Bance running right now, and do it very well. So that might be something that happens. Honestly, I don't think that this is a permanent change. And we've seen this happen last year with Toronto. They had 8 subs last year, and they flipped through every single one of them. So you know what? If they don't find success with this team right away, just watch how fast Methods gets put back into this line, because you know this team's not afraid to make changes. Although now they're an all EU roster, so maybe this was planned from the start. Who knows?
That's true.
Heading into our next matchup, we kind of spent a lot of time on that one, so we'll be quick because this was kind of embarrassing for the Minnesota Rocker. 250 to 216 for Paris on the hard point. 6-5 Miami Search and Destroy, and then a 3-0 on the control. Paris Legion smoked. Well, I mean, I guess the first 2 maps were close, but they still smoked Minnesota. Minnesota, that's embarrassing. You guys need to be better.
Yeah, no. I did not think it'd be easy a 3-0 like that. I thought Minnesota would put up a lot better of a fight. I think points that were brought up in our previous podcast, but Priestess play. I think that affects Minnesota again this time around, and it just showed. Like they need to figure out something and figure it out soon, because they are dropping.
I don't think Priest is the problem. I think Major Maniac is the problem, if I'm being completely honest. And the fact that they have 4 main ARs from last year on their team, and I said that at the start of this year, that was going to be an issue, and it remains to be an issue because you have too many ARs. Roster change does come in today. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, I mean, they needed it really badly.
And I mean, good for Paris. I mean, Minnesota's one of those, like, middle-tier teams. They kind of go either way. They have their good and bad days. So I think it was big for Minnesota to 3-0 them and show, because I saw some talk on Twitter. Minnesota was still hyping themselves up after that week 1 victory against Dallas. It's been a while since then, so it was good for Paris to come in and
4 series losses in a row. So
yeah, it was good for Paris to come in and be like,
it's
okay,
a lot to talk about.
Y'all need to chill out.
Yeah. Heading into our next matchup, we got to see the good old boys in green and black, Optic Gaming come out against Paris Legion, coming off of a hot win, but Optic in the first hardpoint on checkmate. Why are teams still playing Optic on checkmate hardpoint? I don't understand. 250,
I don't learn.
184 to Optic Gaming. Look towards the Express Search and Destroy. Again, a new map. People who are going to be like, I don't know, Optic sucks at search. Look at what they did in the major. They did just fine. It was a 6-4 going the way of Paris. Optic then smoke them on control on raid 3-0. And then a 250 to 225. And honestly, that map really could have gone the way of Paris on that last map. But Optic was able to clutch it up and close out the round. And I mean, they were able to close it at 3-1.
Yeah, I think this went kind of like we talked about earlier with one of the other series. It went the way people expected. I don't think people expected Paris to put up that big of a fight against Optic. And I think Optics just played how they needed to play.
Yeah, no. Again, kind of similar to like what I said about the FaZe and Sublearn series. This is what I expected. I mean, I expected Optic to play a lot better than Paris did. I credit Paris for taking a map on Optic, but at the end of the day, I think Optic had that series hands down.
I think Paris absolutely could have forced the game 5, and if they forced the game 5 against them, it definitely could have been scary for Optic. Moving on, Minnesota taking on Florida. It was a 250 to 214 in the hard point. Again, close hard point. Search and destroy 6-5 to Florida. Again, very close. And then a 3-1 in the control. And I mean, Minnesota they are very, very poor when it comes to their respawns right now, and it's really, really hurting them in the league. And they can't even clutch up a search in round 11. So what are they going to do, man?
Yeah, they need to play better. They need to, I don't know, make a role change or something, but no, and not take anything away from Florida. But you shouldn't be getting 3-0'd by Florida, in my opinion. When you're at that middle tier level,
When both teams are there, exactly.
Yeah, like you should be putting up a fight to kind of move yourself up that tier list. But yeah, that's kind of embarrassing for Minnesota.
Yeah, just as kind of similar things you guys are saying. Going 0-6 on map counts throughout the entire weekend
0-9
is
in the last 3 series because they
0-9
did
and
get bopped
0-9.
out of the major as well.
Like
Yeah.
it shows that something needed to be changed, and I think they making the change. I think that does better the team, which, like you said, we'll get to later. But it's just that the problems something. There's an issue in Minnesota. You've listed off what you think it is, Jesse, and I think you're 100% right. Too many ARs for a game where you need to be able to split.
Yeah, it's they have 4 people who ran to main AR last year. Moving on, probably the match of the week in my opinion. It is Seattle Surge and Dallas Empire. Yes, you guys heard me right. It was Seattle Surge and Dallas Empire for the match of the week for me personally. Dallas 250-135 on the Moscow hardpoint to start it off. Then they come in with a 6-5 victory on the checkmate Search and Destroy. Then we head to map number 3. Seattle Surge start the reverse sweep. They are able to get a 3-2 win. Then they take it to the raid for the next hardpoint 250-149 win. But then they just fall 1 round short in the Search and Destroy. Unfortunately, on Express, they lose 6-5 round 11. And, I mean, if they win that series, I mean, the confidence boost that would have been for that Seattle Surge team. Again, Prasini looked much better in that series. The sub-duo looked a lot better. They were keeping up with the likes of Hooks and Shotzi. So, I mean, if they can keep it up, that's great. But I don't think they're going to, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, I think regardless of the win or loss, I think it was a big boost of confidence for him. I mean, you pushed the reigning champs to map 5 round 11. Now, for everyone who watched the stream, I'm sure there were some great gunfights in the last map and a half. It was so laggy for the spectators. Like it was hard to see what happened. But Miles definitely helped with his play by play. But yeah, I think even if you're Saddle, you take the L, but you think we pushed the reigning champs to round 11 map 5. Like you have to realize you're doing something right and build upon that.
Could you imagine how good that series would have been to watch without the lag and stuff happening? Because I couldn't even watch it really.
Oh, yeah, they I can't remember who it was, but the 1v1 happened. They went up, get the defuse at like 6.9 or like 7.1, and it was the most nerve-wracking thing because no one could tell if they got it or
If he
not.
picked up the bomb at the right time, yeah.
Because it was so laggy. But no, it was a great series.
Yeah, no, that series honestly, great. I love the almost reverse comeback. I gotta give Seattle where credit's due. Like they played really good towards that second half of the series. Like you said, they fall short, but like that's a big boost for that team. Like you took like you said, James, You took the reigning champs to Game 5, and you almost won. Almost won. Like that's impressive for a team that hasn't shown much at all this year. First you beat Florida 3-1, and then you take to Game 5 with Dallas. That's impressive in my opinion.
Impressive indeed. And now we go from probably the match of the weekend to probably the surprise of the weekend here. In our next matchup, it was the London Royal Ravens taking up against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Hot 3-0. Welcome to the league, Paul X. I've been saying this guy deserves a spot in the league since I watched him in Challengers on Western for the first time this year. He came out, he performed very well for London. Yes, they played the Guerrillas, but let's not forget how good the Guerrillas looked 2 weeks ago in the major. Smoked them. 250-189 on the hard point, 6-2 on the search, and then a 3-2 on the control. Just, a great performance from London. Finally, I do got to say, though, I don't think that he's the only answer. I think you still need one more piece before this team is a championship contender.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to them. They got their first series win. I don't think a lot of people expected it. I had LA taking it 3-1, so I definitely wasn't expecting it. But yeah, they won. They won in such a good fashion, even though that control went to round 5. Yeah, the search and the hard point weren't even close. So I think it was a really good step up for them.
Yeah, no. First off, congratulations. You won. Congrats. That's awesome. Second, Paul X, man. That's Jesse, everything you've been saying, I need to listen to you more because damn did he play well. In his first official pro series, he had 1.0 KD for the hard point. He had a 2.0 for the search. Yeah, he fell under in KD and control, but it's control. Everyone has little games. I'm impressed by him, and again, I agree with you. I think there's one more piece that needs to be added to this team to make them a little bit better. But right now, with Paul X, I think they're heading in the right direction.
I mean, like I said at the start of the year, they need to get away from this all-European idea that they need to have their team right now with the way that the league is and the fact that they're not going to be able to get people over. I'm hearing rumors right now that Weskins is starting to play again. So, I mean, maybe if Weskins can get on over here, I feel like he could still be a good addition to this team, if I'm being completely honest. But he's trying to play challengers again. Good for him. We miss you, Weskins, in the league, if I'm being completely honest. 2 matches left. This was once again on Sunday. Toronto Ultra going up against Atlanta FaZe. And it was a 250-143 Garrison hardpoint win for the Atlanta FaZe, followed by a 6-3 on the Search and Destroy, and then a 3-0 on the Raid Control. And I mean, it was not a very close match. And I think this is where you are especially starting to see that, yes, no Zinni, no Winnie. But I think as well, I don't think that Insight is just the only answer for Toronto. I do think that they're going to need to make another change. And I think Methods is that change. You bring him back in. You got to take Bance out at this point, I think, personally.
Yeah, like Insight played out of his mind, especially the first series. But for the team like Toronto to beat FaZe, everyone has to be playing the way Insight was. And I just don't see that happening really anytime soon for Toronto, unless, like we said earlier, they start making more changes. But yeah, this pretty much went the way I think most people expected it to go.
Yeah, honestly, like this series, from what I saw, especially in the raid control, it didn't look good at the very end. Like FaZe kind of just dominated, and I mean it's understandable. They're the reigning stage 1 champs. Like they have 4 of the better players in the league. And I think everyone expected this out of Toronto just because, one, they're bringing that new player on. But yes, I 100% agree with you. Like, changes need to be made to this roster. I think Insight's a very good step forward, but that one more move to fix this roster, and I think they're a good team.
Can I just ask this question too? Actually, we'll talk about it when we get to it. Actually, I'll keep this question in the back of my mind because we are going to get to the roster changes and like really breaking them down and talking about them later. Let's just get through our last match here. It was the Los Angeles Thieves and the New York Subliners to close out the weekend. Fortunately, I did not get to watch this match live. I was casting the NA Challengers like all day long, 12-hour broadcast. I was exhausted. I still haven't even seen this. I got to go back and dissect it later. But the LA Thieves took map 1 on checkmate, 250-216. Map 2 was the Moscow Search and Destroy. It was a 6-4 for the LA Thieves. And then the reverse sweep begun as the New York Subliners were able to take the raid control 3-2. 250 to 211 on the Moscow hardpoint, and then closed it out in a checkmate search and destroy 6-3 over top of the Los Angeles Thieves. I forgot to pull it up, so let me just pull it up really quick so everybody could see. And boys, what did you guys think of that?
This was the matchup for the week for me, mainly because of my pick'ems. I had I had New York taking this 3-2 over LA, and they were down 2-0. And I was like, seriously, like my pick'ems were so bad this week. I just needed something.
It
And
literally tied you with
Yeah,
me because you
yeah.
got the 2 extra points, you little
And
rat.
because double points marking match. And I posted on Twitter, and I think this is really what happened. Clayster saw my pick'ems, saw that I had a 3-2. And he said, "Say less." And he kicked on. He went into full Clayster mode. Couldn't have
fell
gone
off
any
the
better.
map.
The fact that he
I
fell
mean-
off the map,
I mean,
still won.
hey,
It's
he went
what a
into full
legend.
Clayster mode, so that means falling off the
That's
map.
true.
Does that
That-
not?
that is part of it. But yeah, no, they did fantastic.
Yeah, I'd say Clayster saw my pick'ems too, and he's like, I don't want Zach to get points, so we're just gonna take it real quick.
Clayster
But
I
honestly,
never pickles.
honestly, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Jesse. Like, I didn't get to fully watch this match and dissect it as much as I wanted. I'm definitely gonna look back at it, but from what I've heard from James, what I've heard from our other friends that talked about the match, that the Thieves just didn't perform to what the Thieves are again. And I think Subliners are just continuing to prove that they're going to be a better team and that they're getting to become a stronger team.
Well, I think the funniest thing for the Thieves was the video that they posted earlier today when they were making their roster change, and they literally said that we didn't even deserve to win some of the matches that we won. I think that was the funniest thing that I saw out of them. They know the truth, and that's 100% the truth. They did not deserve to win some of the matches that they won. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for our little recap on the Toronto home series. Let me just pop up the Cdl point standings at the end of week number... what?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said for the pick.
I'm pulling up our point standings. I'll be pulling those up later, though, Mr. Last Place. Don't you worry. We got Atlanta FaZe currently sitting at first place still at 10-0. I mean, no team's even close to them. The rest, you got 2 other teams at 7-3, and you got the Subliners sitting at 7-5. Sorry, and those 2 other teams were Dallas and Chicago, both sitting at second and tied for third. And then going in 5th, 6th, it's the Los Angeles Thieves, LA Gorillas. The fact that Thieves are making a roster change in 4th or in 5th place is great. It just shows how much they know that they need to get better. And then you got Florida in 7th. And then to round out the bottom 3, or the bottom 5, really, it's Paris Legion at 40, Minnesota Rocker at 40. Got Ultra at 30, Surge at 20, and then Royal Ravens, after picking up their first win, sitting at 10.
They're on the board.
They are on
only
the board.
up from here.
That's where
only
it's
up
close.
from here.
You can't lose points, so.
And then really, I just kind of want to pop up one more time. This is going to be our schedule looking at week 2. So just some notable matchups, I think, to look out for. I think that FaZe and Thieves match is going to be really good this upcoming week because, again, new rosters, maybe. They might be able to stand a little bit better of a chance. I think that one's going to be good, and I also think that the Minnesota Rocker Dallas Empire match could be a pretty good match. It's the rematch, but I mean, Minnesota has a new player coming in now too, so I think some of those matches this week could be pretty damn good matches. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And
agree.
so moving on. Gotta pop up our pick'ems. I'm sorry, Zach. Just
you know, we're close to getting out of dead last. We're close.
I mean, wait, you were at like 66 points last week. You know what? You're not doing too bad. Did Nando even make a pick'em this week? That's the real question.
If he didn't, thank you. Kept me close.
For some reason,
if he didn't, and you still didn't pass him, it's rough.
Okay, I kind of need to check that out now. Low key, I just clicked that open on a new browser. Anyways, guys, looking at it, Jay Cruzy still sitting at number 1 with 111. You got Sinister at 99, me at 96, tied with Zarin Khan at 96. I'm sorry, I thought that was you tied with me at 96. James still 1 below, and you'll stay 1 below, Mister, at 95. And then you got Nan Dizzle at 83 and Zach at 81. And like I said, I'm very interested to know if Nandez will actually even make predictions.
He did. Nando picked up 16 points.
Okay. I picked up 15. If only the Thieves
won. You guys were that close before that? Damn.
If only the Thieves won, I would have passed him.
Unfortunate for you, for sure.
Unfortunate.
All right, guys. Now we got to get a little serious here. We got to talk about these roster changes that are going on. First one first, we need to talk about insight in for methods. This was the first roster change that went down. I want to know your full thoughts on the roster change. I know we kind of briefly went over it. Now, in my opinion, I think that the issue with this team, I'll go first here. I don't like Cammy on the flex position. First off, I think Cammy should be running a sub and just running rampant on the map like he was last year. I feel like there's a little bit of a pacing issue right now as well between him and Kleenex, and I think they need to get that sorted out. I think both those subs are very pristine subs, and they need to be running the sub roles. I think you need to have Insight playing that flex role where he can run the third sub or run the second AR, and then I think you need to bring Methods back in. He was your best statistical player, and you dropped him in place of Insight, who, yes, has come in and played very well, but it's not going to fix the rest of the roster problems that you had before that.
Yeah. You touched on all the points, and I was very skeptic before, like about taking Methods out, because I think a lot of people have said like this is the best he's looked in a while on COD. I was very skeptic about it. I don't think taking him out improves your team. I think having Insight on the team improves it, and I think that Insight was just brought in for the wrong player. I agree on your points that saying Insight should be on the flex, the main AR should go to Methods. I think if they do that, then it's a better view for Toronto, and it's their best team that they can put out. But I think the Toronto team right now and the Toronto organization, they need to talk and figure out what the issues are. And maybe if they can fix whatever's going on with Bance on the roster, then they can. But right now I feel like out of all the players, Bance is the odd man out.
Yeah, same thing. I think they made a mistake pulling out Zinni for instead of Bance. I think it would have been a lot more productive to take Bance out. Love the guy, no offense to him. But as far as numbers go, that was the smart move.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate. Next up, we do have Paul X coming in for Parasite, and it was a good change for sure. Paul X, I think, is I don't want to say a much more talented player than Parasite, but he's a lot younger and he has a lot to prove, and I think that leads him to kind of play with more fire than Parasite.
Yeah.
And we saw what Parasite was able to do with this team. They weren't able to get a win. Paul X comes in their first match, able to get a win on the board with the team. Yes, they were playing a very rough Minnesota Rocker team, but he was still able to pick up the win. I think that they're still one move away though from being able to like even contest with like maybe top 4, if that makes sense. I almost want to see them like go and pick another player out of challengers, if I'm being completely honest. I just don't even know who they drop at this point though.
The way I look at it, it couldn't hurt. and I was very optimistic about Parasite at the beginning of the season, but I think the move makes sense. But I think like we're still early enough in the year to, if you're gonna make a change, to see what happens, do it now. You definitely don't want to wait another week or two until the next major. You want to do it now to see how it works. If you go backwards, then you just swap the players back. I think if they're gonna do something, they need to do it soon.
Yeah. For this team, I don't really think there's a lower you can get, so it's always a plus. I think Paul X is going to be a good. He has been a good addition for the team. I think he's going to be a good addition for the team. It doesn't hurt for them to look into the challenger scene again and pick some players up from there, because why not? Yeah, you guys have made good points about it. I think Paul X on this team is really going to help them, and I think if what you said is true about Weskin's kind of trying to regain back, I think that's the guy you aim for to bring back onto the squad.
Yeah, well, also to kind of clarify what I was saying earlier, is Weskin is just trying to play EU challengers right now, just to kind of get back into the swing of playing competitive COD.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. Sorry,
So,
what I meant to clarify, just like if he's getting back into the scene and then he starts getting more into it, that's the guy I think they should go for.
Yeah, I agree. I think they made a huge mistake in dropping him in the offseason. I think I said that though during the offseason. Speaking though of making the move now, like you said, you don't want to do it too late. Venom. Oh, Venom is nasty. Venom in for temp. This right here is a fantastic pickup for the LA Thieves, and this makes me want to start cheering for the LA Thieves a little bit here. I'm not gonna lie. Venom won the first 4 opens this year for CDL challengers. He was the best sub in the game for probably the first 4 weeks until Saints really started popping off. The pace this guy plays with on the map and the finesse that he has, he is an insane player. And I'm so excited to see him get his shot, especially on a top 4 team. I think that this team was one change away, and I think Temp was that change. I think they hit it nail on the head. Goodbye, Temp. Go play Wester. Go play Challengers. And I think that this team is honestly going to pop off with Venom. You're good, and I believe the move that they made was Venom on sub, and they said Kenny on sub, but they were scrimming today with TJ on sub. It's really weird. It's like they play with TJ as a sub player in Search and Destroy, but then you have Kenny playing the second sub in Respawn. I don't fully know what they're doing, but it's weird. Honestly, though, as long as it works out for them, that's all that matters. And I think it's a great pickup. Honestly, I think Temp has been playing not great this year.
Yeah, he definitely hasn't been playing up to what we've seen him do in the past few years. So I think that Venom could be actually I don't know, maybe the secret ingredient to get LA Thieves back into consistently being top 4 and fighting for top 3. I think that'll be Venom will give them the speed that they need, kind of like you said, in the aggression to put pressure on these top teams like FaZe and Chicago. So I'm interested to see how it works out.
This is interesting to me because I've heard a lot of hype for Venom, and it's come from you, Jesse. But that just gets me more excited about it. Like, everyone has their opinion on Temp. Everyone we know has opinion on Temp, and I think just for the LA Thieves, Temp was the only, like, all arrows pointed towards Temp being the one that was going to get dropped. If we're being honest, like, there was really nobody else, and I think that this adding Venom is going to make them a way better team. I think shifting players around, like they're doing right now, is going to make them a lot better. I've heard that Jesse, you saw in the scrims that TJ was going sub and Kenny was doing flex. I've heard the opposite of that. So, like you said, I don't know what's going on in that camp. But
they switch it up for game modes.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
If it works, it works great. But I really like this move, and I think only good things are going to come for the LA Thieves.
Yeah, I think the only thing I dislike about this move is the fact that it wasn't Draza picked up and that it was Venom. Just because, I mean, Draza's already in your organization playing for you guys. He's been playing well in Challengers too, but I mean, hey, I mean, maybe if Venom doesn't work out, maybe Draza's next man up, right? You never really know.
Yeah,
and then again, they also have Venom in their org as well for future reference.
Yeah, so definitely not the worst case scenario. Now the last one to come in this week, hot off the press today, Standy. I watched you yesterday just absolutely dominate in a double best of 5. And honestly, he was the best player by far for that Fantastic Four team that won the last Challengers Cup. And he's being brought on to the Minnesota Rocker and played some Major Maniac. Finally, they're getting a second sub attached. Have some fun. You get somebody to run around the map with, finally. So the move is Major Maniac out, Standy in, running second sub, Priesta moving to flex position. Thank God he's a flex player. He's not a main sub. Every time we've seen Priesta pop off and play at his absolute best, he's been running that flex role, and I could not be happier to see him back in that flex role so that all the haters can shut up because he's still a damn good player. He does the dirty things on the map that nobody sees, and everybody just hates on him because he doesn't have the best stat line. He's playing on a bad team, though. Like, give the man a break, please.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see what difference this change makes. Because I am a fan of Rocker. I always hope for them to do well. I feel like they have the potential to do well, even when they had Major Maniac. So I think this is going to give them the big boost that they need, and I'm really excited to see if they make another change in the future, but especially what this one does for their confidence going into next week.
Yeah, so watching that match yesterday of Fantastic Four and the Subliners Academy team, while me and James were having a little bit of fun in chat, we were watching Standy absolutely go off. I think this is a great move for the Rocker. I saw a post earlier saying no Maniac, no Major. I don't think that's true at all. I think adding it was a pretty good one. I liked it, but I don't think that's true at all. I think Standy coming in, being the sub with attach, it's only going to boost attach. Like, that sub duo is going to be insane. And like you said, Jesse, I was a fan of Priesta when he was with 100 Thieves back in the CWL days. I was a huge fan of him. And I think the points you made about him are 100% true. Is that he's just on a bad team, and that he doesn't get that appreciation because people don't see him going positive everything, but he does the little things on the map. I think you hit those points right on the head.
I think it was the same thing as last year too. Like, yeah, he wasn't running his main role that he wanted to run last year on that Atlanta FaZe team, and then after all that fell apart, he was one of the players that ended up getting dropped. But I mean, like, deservingly so though too. Like, accuracy or not accuracy, Arcety's great pickup for them when they did that. So I mean, it makes sense. Now I have a fun little game here. I know this is probably going to be a shorter podcast if I'm being completely honest, guys. And I mean, there's just not a lot amount of talk to talk about. There's not like a lot of stuff going on in challenges right now. We're all kind of burnt out. This is like 1:47 in the morning right now. We're recording.
It's been a long couple days.
It has been a long couple days, but this is the last little thing I want to talk about. It's going to be a little game I like to call is how long will this team last? Are you guys ready for this team in challengers? Okay,
we're ready.
Temp, Zaptius, Glow Frosty, and Parasite. How long is this team lasting? Now remember, Zaptius is the person who Parasite tried to steal his girlfriend last year. They're playing together again.
Hey, water under the bridge.
And and now Temp is on the team.
I am not familiar with Temp and Parasite's past relationship. So I feel like their personalities could clash a little bit. I can 100% see Temp coming down with a high head and being like, "Yo, I don't deserve to be here," and him having the biggest ego. He probably will go through some midlife crisis, dye his hair blue. I don't know, but I think there's gonna be a lot of stressful situations.
Just
over under 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'll shoot for over 2 weeks. And like James said, water under the bridge, but now under the bridge also has a pufferfish, so we're all good. We're all good.
All right,
you know,
all right. I'm gonna go under 2 weeks.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2 weeks or under.
I think
there's too big a
I think it'll probably be under, but like I'm gonna be the optimistic. Over 2 weeks.
All right, Zach. You'll be the optimistic.
We'll be the optimistic here.
Well, guys, I think that's about good to do it for our podcast today. Again, guys, make sure you guys follow us on all of our @. They're obviously listed in the description down below. And then, I mean, the only other thing I can say is that be on the lookout for Thursday. We will be coming out with our prediction episode. Hopefully, we have Zarin back by then. I have no idea where this man is. He's not letting me know. Zarin, I'm coming for your ass. You better be on the next podcast. That's all I'm going to say at the end of this. Guys, I hope you guys all have a fantastic evening. This has been the Round 11 podcast.